The Battle of Hastings, occurring in 1066, is a watershed event in English history, profoundly shaping the trajectory of the nation. This transformative conflict unfolded between the Norman French army, under the leadership of Duke William II of Normandy, who would later be celebrated as William the Conqueror, and the English forces commanded by King Harold II. The roots of the confrontation can be traced to the death of King Edward the Confessor, which triggered a tumultuous struggle for the English throne. With no clear heir, the ambitious Duke William asserted his right to the crown, citing an alleged promise made by Harold during a visit to Normandy. However, upon Edward's death, Harold, a powerful English noble, seized the throne, complicating the succession dispute. The climactic clash took place on October 14, 1066, near the town of Hastings. The English forces, positioned on Senlac Hill, faced the Norman invaders in a battle that would prove to be one of the most consequential in English history. The terrain and the ferocity of the conflict added to the complexity of the engagement. The roots of the Battle of Hastings in 1066 can be traced back to the death of King Edward the Confessor, a pivotal moment that plunged England into a tumultuous succession crisis. Edward, who lacked a clear heir, left a power vacuum that set the stage for a series of events culminating in the fateful clash at Hastings. Edward's death created a precarious situation, as the absence of a designated successor fueled political uncertainty and rival claims to the throne. This power vacuum became a breeding ground for conflicting ambitions among the English nobility and foreign contenders. In this context, Harold II, a prominent English noble and brother-in-law to Edward, was crowned hastily in an attempt to stabilize the situation. This rapid coronation was an immediate response to the pressing need for a leader to avert potential chaos and external threats. However, this move did not go uncontested. Across the English Channel, Duke William II of Normandy, commonly known as William the Conqueror, saw an opportunity to assert his claim to the English crown. William contended that he had been promised the throne by Edward and alleged that Harold had sworn an oath of allegiance during a visit to Normandy, pledging support for William's succession. William's claim added a layer of complexity to the succession crisis, and tensions escalated between the newly crowned Harold and the ambitious Norman Duke. The stage was set for a decisive confrontation that would determine the fate of England. This backdrop of political instability, competing claims, and the struggle for legitimacy set the scene for the Battle of Hastings. The clash on the battlefield would not only resolve the immediate question of succession, but also shape the course of English history for generations to come. The events leading up to the battle underscore the intricate interplay of personal ambitions, geopolitical rivalries, and the unpredictable nature of medieval politics. On the decisive day of October 14, 1066, the fate of England hung in the balance as the two formidable armies converged near the town of Hastings. The English forces, under the command of King Harold II, strategically positioned themselves on Senlac Hill, a defensive stance that would play a crucial role in the unfolding conflict against the Norman invaders led by Duke William II of Normandy, later known as William the Conqueror. The terrain of Senlac Hill provided a natural advantage for the English as it forced the Norman army to attack uphill, making their advances more challenging. The English, shielded by the defensive formation known as the Shield Wall, initially withstood the Norman assaults. The Shield Wall, a tightly interlocked formation of soldiers wielding shields, was a formidable defense against the Norman cavalry charges and infantry advances. The Battle of Hastings unfolded with a relentless intensity, characterized by a symphony of warfare. The Norman cavalry, known for its mobility and effectiveness, launched charges against the English lines, seeking to break their defensive formation. Archers on both sides added to the chaos, sending volleys of arrows across the battlefield, further escalating the brutality of the conflict. Hand-to-hand combat ensued as the two armies clashed in a desperate struggle for supremacy. Swords, axes, and other medieval weaponry were wielded with ferocity as soldiers fought valiantly for their respective causes. The Norman invaders, despite facing challenging terrain and a resilient English defense, persevered in their attempts to breach the shield wall. The turning point of the battle came with the death of King Harold II. Tradition holds that he was struck in the eye by an arrow, leading to a breakdown in English morale. The loss of their leader proved devastating, and the English forces, now lacking cohesion, succumbed to the relentless pressure from the Norman invaders. The Battle of Hastings concluded with William emerging victorious, solidifying his claim to the English throne. The clash at Senlac Hill marked the end of Anglo-Saxon rule and the beginning of Norman dominance in England. The intense ferocity of the battle and the strategic decisions made on both sides left an indelible mark on medieval military history, shaping the destiny of England for centuries to come. The Battle of Hastings reached a critical turning point with the demise of King Harold's Hugh, a moment that would resonate through the annals of history. Traditionally believed to have been struck in the eye by an arrow, Harold's death became a symbolic blow that shattered English morale and ultimately led to their defeat. The death of a monarch on the battlefield carries profound consequences, especially in a medieval context where the king represented not only a political leader but also a figure of divine authority. The loss of King Harold dealt a severe psychological blow to the English forces as the symbolism of a fallen king permeated through their ranks, sowing confusion and despair. The English army, previously organized and resilient behind the shield wall on Senlac Hill, now faced a leadership vacuum. Without a unifying figure to rally behind, the soldiers struggled to maintain cohesion. The absence of Harold as a central figure of command left the English forces vulnerable to the relentless assaults of the Norman invaders. William the Conqueror, seizing the opportunity presented by the disarray among the English, pressed his advantage and intensified the assault. The Norman forces exploited the weakened English defense, pushing through the shield wall and capitalizing on the fractured morale of the English troops. The once formidable resistance began to crumble in the face of the Norman onslaught. As the English forces faltered, the Normans gained momentum and control of the battlefield. William emerged victorious, solidifying his claim to the English throne through military conquest. The Battle of Hastings marked the end of Anglo-Saxon rule and the beginning of Norman dominance in England. The death of King Harold and its consequential impact on English morale underscore the pivotal role of leadership in medieval warfare. The symbolic and practical significance of a monarch's demise in the midst of battle reverberated far beyond the battlefield, shaping the destiny of nations and leaving an enduring imprint on the historical narrative of the Battle of Hastings and its aftermath. The death of King Harold and its consequential impact on English morale underscore the pivotal role of leadership in medieval warfare. The symbolic and practical significance of a monarch's demise in the midst of battle reverberated far beyond the battlefield, shaping the destiny of nations and leaving an enduring imprint on the historical narrative of the Battle of Hastings and its aftermath. The Battle of Hastings had far-reaching consequences, shaping the course of English history for centuries to come. It marked the beginning of the Norman dynasty and left an indelible imprint on the development of medieval England.